Mondays suck already. Mondays after series losses obviously suck as well. But this off day means a little more for the Brew Crew. I think this is a great Monday to be in Milwaukee. I'll explain why next.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, happy Monday. I am Dominic Cotroneo. This is Locked On Brewers. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered all season long with more props, more odds, and more lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. I'm a statistician for Bally Sports Wisconsin, bringing you all the news, stats, and notes and nuggets that you want to know about your Brew Crew with your only daily podcast dedicated to the Brewers all season long. We drop episodes Monday through Friday. However, this week it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to drop an episode today here on this Monday. No episode tomorrow morning, given we have the off day here today. And look, after 18 games in 17 days and myself some travel involved in that, we're going to take the day off, all right? So we're going to do today's episode, off day tomorrow, right back on Wednesday morning with a recap episode for you coming up as the Phillies come to town tomorrow. Yesterday, the Brewers fall in extra innings by a final of 6-4. It was the Kolten Wong show. What a day for Kolten. His 5th career multi-homer game, his 12th career leadoff home run as well in this contest. But the Brewers end up falling. The Crone Zone is not a fun place, y'all. Man, what a past couple of days for Jake Cronenworth for the Padres as he hits another 3-run homer as he did on Saturday to be the backbreaker and the go-ahead shot that ultimately was the decider in this contest. Over the weekend, briefly touching on the weekend as we get ready to go through some overall thoughts of this 18-game stretch. We'll talk about some lineup construction and just get you ready for these Phillies briefly at the very end of things. But over the weekend, Thursday, we talked about it in Friday morning's episode, the walk-off hit by Andrew McCutchen, snapping his 0 for 32 at the time. And then Joe Musgrove nearly throws a no-hitter on Friday night in the ace-off. That wasn't. It was Corbin Burnes who didn't pitch well in that game. His shortest outing since 2019. That's excluding the finale in 2021 in Los Angeles. But for Burnes to get outdueled not only, just by allowing 5 runs, but Musgrove to carry a no-hitter into the 8th inning. And then the viral moment when Kolten Wong broke up that no-hitter with the double. My phone is still buzzing from the video of it, of the tip of the cap of Kolten Wong to Joe Musgrove, and Musgrove recognizing it with the wink back. I thought that was one of the coolest moments of the season, regardless of Brewers and Padres affiliations. I thought it was just awesome. I mean, as a baseball fan, that's going to be something that's kept in an end-of-season clip of, man, he nearly had a no-hitter. He was nasty. He was shoving. One of his best outings of the year. He is due to get paid this offseason is Joe Musgrove. But Kolten Wong taking a moment, say, hey, you were awesome. And Musgrove saying, hey, appreciate that. You just did your job too. I love that. I mean, Orsillo retweeted it. John Boy picked it up. I've seen it on TikTok now as well. I thought that was a really cool moment on Friday night. But the Brewers did get shut out in back-to-back games Friday and Saturday. Mackenzie Gore, man, this kid's going to be a star. Don't sell Aaron Ashby short, though. He really only made one mistake, the 3-run homer to Jake Cronenworth on Saturday. Mackenzie Gore gets 10 strikeouts. Ashby gets 9 strikeouts. He had a great stretch of baseball as of late, especially since that start against the Marlins, or I should say not a start, but a relief outing against the Marlins. Listen to these numbers from Aaron Ashby since coming in for Brennan Woodruff against the Marlins. So over his last 5 games, he has started 3 of those games. He's thrown 22 2/3 innings. He has struck out 35 batters with a 1.99 ERA, and the best part, only 5 walks in those 22 innings. So to do the math quickly here, 35, if you want to do K-rate with me along here, so you multiply 35 times 9, divide that by the innings pitch, which is 22.6. He's got a 13.9 strikeout per 9 over his last 5 appearances. This dude is starting to grow into his own. He's only 24 years old. Really excited to see what Ashby's going to become. And I got a question in the mailbag here. Not a very real mailbag episode today. Not many questions came in on it, but Is Ashby done in the bullpen? Yes, he is a starter now, here on out, especially with the loss of Freddie Peralta. Brendan Woodruff is set to return this week, though, so that's good news, but Aaron Ashby will be sticking around in this rotation when they go back to a 6-man rotation. Let's then get into yesterday's game. Brewers fall 6-4 in extras. There was really nothing poorly that Eric Lauer did in that 5th inning, that 3 runs scored against him. 2 of them unearned because of a terribly timed error by Pablo Reyes, and it's a reminder that this team's thin right now. Very, very thin. Without Willy Adames, and now Luis Urias dealing with a jammed thumb. I mean, they showed a shot of it on Bally Sports Wisconsin yesterday, how swollen that right thumb is for him right now. Who knows if he's going to need time on the injured list, but it looked like they had the runner tied up between second and third. Rowdy Tellez fielded that ground ball perfectly, fired to second base, and on the transfer, Pablo Reyes dropped the baseball. And the error allowed the inning, instead of it being man out at probably third, hopefully you don't get into a pickle there, but you would probably have 1 out and a man on first with the bottom of the order coming up, as opposed to runners on the corners with nobody out, and then a couple of duck farts and a couple ground outs and a sac fly, and you blink and it's suddenly 3-1. Eric Lauer only allowed 1 ball in that inning over 95 miles an hour exit velo, and it was the ground ball that started that chaos with the error for Pablo Reyes. That just can't happen. Can't happen in AAA, and it certainly can't happen in the big leagues. And Reyes obviously gets tagged for the error, and the 2 unearned runs were a huge part of this game for a long time until Kolten Wong saved the day off of Nick Martinez, his 2nd homer of the contest. It comes in the bottom of the 8th inning. 5th career multi-homer game for Wong. He's up to 5 now on the season. It tied the game at 3. Brewers had a chance to win it in the bottom of the 9th, but could not get it done. Tyrone Taylor goes down looking to end the bottom of the 9th. And then the Crone Zone again at the top of the 10th, a 3-run homer off of Trevor Gotts. The Brewers get 1 with the placed runner in the bottom of the 10th, but that's all they could get. And the Brewers fall by a final of 6-4 in extras. They are now 1-3 in extra innings this year after playing the most extra inning games in baseball last year. Now the Padres, that was their 9th extra inning game already this season. That's the most in baseball as they improved to 6-3 in extra innings. The records. Brewers are now 33-23. In full disclosure, I am recording this in the middle of the Cardinals-Cubs game right now. Right now, the Cubs are leading in the 4th inning, so you may know the standings by the time you wake up. But at worst, the Brewers will be only a game up on the Cardinals, or they will be a half game up on the Cardinals, or they will remain 1.5 games up on the Cardinals. So they will not lose their lead in the division here tonight, but as for moving forward after this 18 games and 17 days stretch, there's a lot to dive into here. We're going to look at the numbers. We're going to look at some lineup recommendations, but a reminder that they're about to get healthier. It's about to happen, and let's dive into it. Before that, I want to tell you about our friends at Athletic Greens. AG1, their product. Look, this is a product that so many people are using every single morning. I've used it myself on my way out the door. AG1 takes care of all the vitamins, all the minerals that you could ever want. You can take care of your gut health. You can take care of some added energy for your day. Hydrate yourself. Get your body the nutrients it needs to start your day with just 1 glass of water every single morning with AG1. 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods. You got probiotics in there to keep you healthy and adaptogens as well. Its special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, relevant right now, your energy, recovery, focus, aging, all of the things can be solved by AG1. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, it doesn't matter. It's less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no chemicals, no artificial sweeteners, nothing. It still tastes good. You just pour it into your glass of water every single morning. It costs less than $3 a day. That's investing in your health, and it's cheaper than getting Starbucks every single morning. And it's got over 7,000 5-star reviews online, trusted by professional athletes across the country and around the world. And right now, they've got an offer for you. You can reclaim your health and your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop in water every single day. That's it. No need for a million pills and supplements just to take care of your health. So the offer is they're going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D, relevant in the winter here in Wisconsin, and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase at Athletic Greens. All you got to do is visit athleticgreens.com/MLB Network. Again, athleticgreens.com/MLB Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. 18 games, 17 days. You've heard us talk about it over and over and over again. The Brewers end up going 9-9 in this stretch. Overall themes, we're going to get into the numbers in a second. In my opinion, you learned a lot about your team right here over these 18 games. And remember, there is still one more stretch like this coming up, weather permitting, later on in the season. The Brewers have another 18 games and 17-day stretch, August 26th through September 11th. The benefit of that is that the majority of those games, in fact, 11 of those 18 games will be at home. So you've got homestands with the Cubs and the Pirates. Then you go west to take on the Diamondbacks and the Rockies over Labor Day week. And then you come back home for the one-off doubleheader against the Giants in September before welcoming in the Reds for a 3-game weekend series. So there's one more of these stretches coming up of 18 games in 17 days. Granted, that one will have the majority of the games at home. So you're not out of the woods yet in that regard. For the Brewers to be 9-9 with everything they were missing, all the adversity they had to just face during this stretch. The floor of this team, as it stands, is a 500 team. I know they're only 10 games over 500 right now, but if you would have told me on June 6th, you're not going to have Willie Adames for a big chunk of the year, you're not going to have Luis Urias for a big chunk of the year, you're going to have a couple COVID outbreaks, Corbin Burns is still going to be pitching well, but not quite Corbin Burns' self. Brandon Woodruff's going to miss a couple of starts. Oh, and by the way, Freddie Peralta's not going to be available beyond the middle of May until September. I think you would take 10 games above 500 overall and a 9-9 stretch in these 18 games. A reminder, you only had Hunter Renfroe for 4 games. You did not have Willie Adames for any of these games. You didn't have Omar Narvaez for the last 4 against the Padres since he's on the COVID list. You also had Luis Urias jam his thumb. You had ice-cold stretches from Andrew McCutchen and from Christian Yelich. You didn't have Josh Hader for the first 3 games of this giant stretch against the... you didn't have him against the Padres in San Diego. It was a lot of adversity that they just had to overcome and get things going to go 9-9. And again, with 7 of them against the Padres, 4 of them against the Cardinals, 2 teams that are certainly going to be in the playoff hunt. 11 of those 18 games were against playoff teams, in my opinion. You did your job. You went 9-9. That's all you can ask for with everything you're losing. The numbers aren't pretty, though. As a team over these 18 games, the Brewers hit just .223. That's dead last during this stretch in the National League. All of these rankings will be in the National League. Dead last in average. Dead last in on-base percentage at .299. They had the second most strikeouts as a team and the second most double plays as an offense. They scored the 4th fewest runs, but they had tied for the 4th most homers with 22 over this stretch. They live and die with the homer. We know that. They lost a lot of stuff offensively from some of their main bats that they were looking to as far as Christian Yelich and Andrew McCutchen. They both went ice cold, and he didn't have Hunter Renfroe for the majority of it. On the pitching side of it, their ERA, solid. A 3.24 ERA. That's 3rd best in the National League over those 18 games. You take that, absolutely. 6th most strikeouts, really in the middle of the pack. They had the 5th fewest walks, by the way, as a pitching staff over these 18 games, only 50 of them. How about the performance by Aaron Ashby? We just told you about the 35 strikeouts in his last 22 innings. He threw the 2nd most innings of anybody over this stretch, 19 1/3, 2 earned runs, 27 strikeouts. He had 27 strikeouts and 18 2/3 innings. And with a 2.41 ERA. Eric Lauer threw the most innings, 22 frames, 16 strikeouts, 9 walks. Was a little troubling from the Zoom ball, from the southpaw. And he had a 2.05 ERA to lead the way for the Brew Crew as far as the starting staff goes. The 7, 8, 9 guys, Boxberger, Williams, and Hader, they combined to pitch 19 1/3 innings, only allowed 2 earned runs, that's a .93 ERA, and had 27 strikeouts over those 19 1/3 innings. Great work by those 3, and of course, Hader went a perfect 4 for 4 in saves. Williams went a perfect 2 for 2 in saves. Boxberger did get the only runs against him. That was in San Diego. But other than that, he was dynamite, including yesterday. 7-8-9 kept the Brewers in it yesterday. They were down 3-1, and the fact that Boxberger, Williams, and Hader slammed the door to keep them in that game to set the stage for Wong to tie things up, that was huge. If I do have one gripe, though, about yesterday's game while we're on the subject, I was a little surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I wonder if it was ever on the mind of Craig Counsell and Josh Hader to send them back out for the 10th inning. I know that's something he hasn't done since 2019, but I mean, he just pitched in 2 games on Monday in Chicago, which was his last appearance. And you have an off day here today. I would have personally liked to see it. I understand that he hasn't done it since 2019, and he feels he's not as effective when he has to sit down and get back up. I get it. I personally would have liked to see it. That was one of my qualms that I had about that game yesterday, but it's still kind of nitpicking because you're asking a guy to do something he hasn't done in multiple years. So I saw some fans asking about that too. I wasn't as big of a deal about that as well. The other bad numbers, though, from this 18-game stretch, so there were 12 guys that had at least 30 plate appearances during this marathon. Only 2 of them hit over 275. That was Omar Narvaez, who you missed for the San Diego series. He hit 323. Rowdy hit 276. Next was Tyrone. He hit 254. He led the way with 5 home runs. And then the numbers really fall off a cliff. Yelich over this stretch. We're going to talk about Yelich here in a second. Yelich 177 during this stretch, a 487 OPS. Andrew McCutchen, a 183 average, a 466 OPS. And Lorenzo Cain, a 143 average and a 420 OPS. This team needs Hunter Renfroe and Willy Adames back ASAP. And remember, Renfroe was white hot when he got hurt. A 279 average in May, 3 doubles, 4 homers, a 500 slugging in the month of May. They would love to have him back. If he at least, he's not going to hit the ground, I think, perfect like he was doing at the end before his injury, but to have him have some pop in the order will certainly help, and also deepen this order and to help out guys like McCutchen, like Yelich, to hopefully get more strikes. And it's a great example. Bill Schroeder made the observation early in the series against the Padres that Jake Cronenworth has the best seat in baseball right now, given that he gets to hit ahead of Manny Machado and Eric Hosmer right now in this lineup, 2 of the best hitters in the National League so far, a third of the way into the season. You have to throw strikes to Jake Cronenworth because you don't want to have Manny Machado up with runners on base. And Jake Cronenworth make the Brewers pay over these last couple of games. It's a good seat in the house, but that's an example of having a deep lineup and being able to try to get guys into the right spots to get them to see more strikes. When you get Adames and when you get Renfroe back, it'll help Rowdy Tellez. It'll help Tyrone Taylor. I love Tyrone in the 2-hole, not when he's protected by Christian Yelich right now. That leads me to my next point. Christian Yelich. It's time. He can't be batting third anymore. He can't. 0. You can't do it anymore. It's frustrating to see what's happened to him. I'm just like a lot of Brewers fans. I'm shocked at what's going on. I said early in the year, let's let the dude play and see what you get out of him. The sample size is big enough now. Okay, he's over 220 plate appearances, 53 games. He's barely hitting 220. His slugging is under 400. His OPS is under 700. He hasn't hit a home run since the cycle. He can't be batting third anymore. He just can't. It's not helpful to this lineup the way it's working right now. He's striking out at an alarming rate. Since that cycle, this is going into yesterday's game, he is hitting just a $173 with 28 strikeouts in those 21 games. He can't be batting third anymore, especially with Renfroe and Adames coming back. Granted, with Luis Urias on the shelf, you'll probably still see Yelich batting third, given this top half of the lineup probably doesn't have enough protection to really put somebody there. If it was my opinion, Wong would lead off, assuming we're facing a right-handed pitcher. Wong would lead off, you would put Adames batting second, and you'd put Renfroe batting third. I know Craig Counsell doesn't like to put back-to-back righties in the order, but this is just the way the roster is currently constructed. So then you'd put Renfroe batting third, Rowdy batting fourth, Kutch batting fifth, Yelich batting sixth. That's where I'd put Yelich right now. You got to put him fifth or sixth because it's hurting the team with his amount of strikeouts, the lack of loud contact. I just have to get up here on my soapbox and say it. He can't be batting third anymore. Until he shows that he deserves to be batting third, I just don't see how it's helping the team in third. It sucks to say that. It's painful to say that. The guy that the Brewers finally do it, right? They finally paid a superstar. They finally locked up the guy that they went out and got. They did what they were supposed to do. And now, since the knee injury, I mean, he was an MVP, 18 and 19. 19, of course, runner-up with the knee and everything. 2020, everybody gets a free pass in 2020. 2021, not quite healthy. Started showing signs late, but wasn't quite there. Now, we know he's healthy. It's 53 games in. The sample size is big enough. He should not be batting third anymore. I just had to say that. I had to get that out there. Will it happen? I doubt it. Not for another week or two, I think, because of the current stature of this team with Arias on the shelf, trying to get more ABs in for Renfroe and for Adames. I'm sure Craig Counsell and the team's going to take it slow with those guys. They may have a day off this week on their way back too. I just needed to get that off my chest. Christian Yelich should not be batting third anymore until he proves otherwise. And quite frankly, I haven't seen him prove otherwise since that cycle against the Reds. As far as the current stature of this team, the good news is Renfroe and Adames are coming back. As far as the moves to make room for them, I would expect probably Luke Barker to get optioned or maybe Trevor Kelly to get optioned. And then Pablo Reyes would likely get optioned. But that depends on Urias' availability. Maybe you keep Reyes just as infielder depth because remember, Mike Brasso's dealing with a sprained ankle right now. He was placed on the injured list. Do you keep Reyes over Hira? I don't think so, but Hira hasn't quite been going well for him either. It's a weird funk right now. We're going to keep the vibes going. We're going to try to get things back on track with the Phillies coming to town, who just had a roller coaster of the weekend against the Angels. Tell you about them and get ready to wrap up this episode. But first, remind you of our presenting sponsor today, BetOnline, your number one source for all your betting stats and sports information. You can find all the developments, the news, and the odds, including basketballs, of course. The finals are happening right now. By the time you're listening, you already know the final score of Game 2 yesterday. NHL hockey, you got the Stanley Cup playoffs happening right now. Baseball is happening, and fighting news from MMA and UFC and boxing. Everything can be found at betonline.net, your continued source for everything sports wagering. You can head to their website or use your mobile phone to learn more about the trends and get in on the action at BetOnline, where the game starts. The Phillies coming to town. Wow, so they just swept the Angels over the last couple of days, and in dramatic fashion on Sunday, Bryce Harper hits a game-tying grand slam in the bottom of the eighth inning off of Raisel Iglesias, their closer, dynamite closer for the Angels, ties it at 6, and then Bryson Stott wins it with a 3-run shot to shock the Angels. They win 9-7 in only 9 innings, mind you. The Angels had actually taken the lead in the top of the ninth inning to try to survive and win this one. Mike Trout returning home. He's been ice cold as of late. He goes 0 for 3. The Angels have now lost 11 games in a row. And mind you, the Phillies just fired their head coach, or their manager, I should say, in Joe Girardi at the start of this series. Now they're trying to show some life. So the Phillies are still in third place in the East. Braves won yesterday. They're above 500 for the first time this year. They're 28 and 27. Phillies are still 11 games back in the East, but they're 25 and 29 now. They've won 4 games in a row. I don't think either one, the Braves or the Phillies, are going to catch the Mets, especially as their pitching gets healthier. I don't see that happening. But for wild card purposes, the West is going to be tough to take it out of. Remember, 3 teams make the wild card. Right now, you got San Diego and San Francisco, the 2 teams in second and third in the NL West, getting in, and St. Louis, the team in second place in the Central. Will there be enough games for Atlanta or for Philly to make up the ground? It looks like you're going to have to be over 500 in the National League to make the wild card, whether it be San Francisco, San Diego, and St. Louis. Atlanta is 28 and 27. They're 2 games back of San Francisco as things stand right now. And the Phillies, they're 4.5 back right now of San Francisco. So there's a lot of work to be done. They're coming in hot. They will throw out a lefty, Ranger Suarez, getting the start coming up tomorrow. He'll be going up against Jason Alexander, what will probably be his last start in the big leagues, as Brandon Woodruff will be making his next spot in the rotation in 5 days after tomorrow. So Jason Alexander, who made his debut against the Cubs on Thursday, on Wednesday, we'll get the ball against Suarez. Aaron Nola against Adrian Hauser on Wednesday. And then Zach Eflin against Corbin Burns on Thursday to wrap up this series. It'll be a 7:10 start tomorrow and on Wednesday, and then a day game on Thursday, 1:10 to wrap up this series for, yet again, the Brewers start another three-city road trip where they go 3 in Washington, 3 in New York against the Mets, and then 3 in Cincinnati. They get an off day between Washington and New York, and then they play the Mets and the Reds to wrap up that trip. It's their last three-city trip of the year, but as we mentioned earlier, they still got one more long stretch of 18 games in 17 days in the second half. For the injury stuff, again, Hunter Renfroe and Willy Adames are expected to be activated. Remains to be seen on Luis Urias. For Urias, if you're going to retroactively put him on the IL, remember, he played on Friday, did not play Saturday, Sunday. So you have up to 3 days to retroactively place a player on the injured list. It would be the 10-day injured list for Urias. So they would retroactively put him on Saturday. They want to see how he's doing and see if he can maybe play this week. If not, they will put him on the IL, keep a Pablo Reyes around for some infield depth while they activate Willy Adames. Renfroe, like we mentioned, will probably be Barker coming off or a reliever coming off. They're currently carrying 9 members of that bullpen, and in 2 weeks, they're supposed to lower it again down to 13. So right now, the Brewers are carrying 14 pitchers out of the 26, and in about 13 days, they'll need to put that back down to 13. Roster decisions looming coming up here for the Brew Crew. Content reminder, again, this week. Episode today, no episode tomorrow, and then we'll be back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like normal for your normal daily podcast notes. I want to get to a few of these mentions here on Locked On Brewers. Some overall thoughts, questions, concerns. Kevin was all over it here on Locked On Brewers. But just a reminder, a lot of these answers can be just with the fact they need to get healthy. They need to get things back going. They end up losing this series to the Padres. In fact, it was the only series they lost during these 18 straight games. Certainly helpful. Do they go back to a 6-man rotation? I believe they do. It would be Burns, Lauer, Woodruff, Ashby, Hauser, and maybe Small if they decide to go that way. Granted, you have a ton of off days coming up here in June and July. They may not need to go to a 6-man rotation because of the fact of the off days giving you an extra day of rest and things of that nature. I saw one request that MLB needs to shorten the season from 162 games. It's way too long to have this 17-day stretch. Part of that had to do with the rain out. Also, it feels a lot worse just because the Brewers have barely played at home because of the week-long lockout killed the season and put it on the end of the year. But, Matt, if you're going to be paying for having less than 162 games to the owner's pockets, be my guest. I mean, I got like $12 if you want to throw it into that pile, but there's no way baseball, a sport that's dealing with loss of fandom and an older fan base, is going to voluntarily give up money from the regular season in order to acquiesce for, 8 fewer games? It's all about money. Answer to most of the questions in sports can be, resolved down to money. So I don't see baseball shortening its season anytime soon. Are we done with Ashby in the bullpen? Yes, mentioned that earlier. As far as strikeouts right now, what do the Brewers need to do to get the bat on the ball more consistently? I think it'll help with their lineup, but right now, I wish I had a better answer other than, swinging at better pitches. Or swinging at pitches in the zone. They're taking a lot of strikes right now. Guys like Yelich and Hero are swinging and missing a lot in the zone, but the Brewers are kind of been really stymied this season by changeups. It's a specific pitch that's been fooling the Brewers all season long. They're a patient team. They don't chase all that much. They're better than league average. They're not quite 1-2 like they were earlier in the year. But the chase numbers have slowly climbed up this season. I want to see them swing at more strikes throughout the rest of this first half as they get ready to finally enjoy an off day today. A lot of action there in this episode. Again, no episode tomorrow. Back on Wednesday. Phillies in town tomorrow. 7:10 first pitch. Ranger Suarez against Jason Alexander. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Brewers. I'm at Dom_Cotroneo. Go check out our YouTube as well. That is where our next In the Hopper will drop. I promise. It's finally dropping tomorrow. I have literally have it written. I've laid down the audio track now. Devin Williams talking about the fastball and changeup so far this year. I found some fascinating numbers in this one from Devin Williams, so that will drop tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, keep on swinging.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.